is the situation currently. They are facing hybrid threats and rampant disinformation. We already see Russia repeating the same playbook that they used in Moldova. Today we discussed how to strengthen Armenia's resilience, including the government's help to have cyber and hybrid defenses. Then we had a discussion on the Middle East. The discussion was around EU's contribution to the security and stabilization of Gaza. Hamas' refusal to disarm is a major obstacle to progress. Our two missions on the ground can scale up operations, one assisting border crossings and the other one supporting the Palestinian police. Both can make valuable contributions to the peace plan and the international stabilization force, but we need approval from Israeli side. We're also working on Palestinian Authority reform, humanitarian aid and reconstruction, and on the latter, it's clear that we need to have a say how the money is being spent. Ministers also discussed Sunday's anti-Semitic attacks in Australia. European position is very clear. The rise of anti-Semitism in anywhere in the world must be condemned. 1 year after then we also discussed Syria, and that was the main focus of our Middle East discussion this time. After 1 year, Assad's regime fell 1 year ago, and Syria still faces enormous challenges. Sectarian violence, lack of inclusivity, lack of proper institutions, rule of law. These are problems that are still there. The killing of US soldiers by ISIS terrorists on Saturday was a brutal reminder of that. And we discussed the state of Syria's transition and how we could better support governance, security sector reform and trade. Let me remind you that the European Union was the first one to lift sanctions to help a country to rebuild. But lifting sanctions alone does not bring economic prosperity. Investors need to trust the legal system. Investors need to be sure that the situation is stable and will not get out of hand. We are now also adjusting the EU-Syria sanctions regime as the situation evolves. Ministers also decided to move forward with the new EU-Syria political partnership. If we don't step up in Syria, others, including Russia, will fill the vacuum. And finally, also on Lebanon, later today, actually quite soon, I will co-chair EU-Lebanon Association Council. Lebanon is at the critical juncture. The truce between Lebanon and Israel remains fragile. Hezbollah's refusal to disarm and Israeli strikes risk pushing the country into deeper instability. And today, we will discuss our relations and options for strengthening Lebanese internal security forces. And then we had a discussion on China. So China is increasingly weaponizing economic ties for political gains. We recently released our joint economic security strategy with the Commission and plan to diversify our supply of critical minerals. And today, ministers discussed how we can better deploy our trade arsenal to strengthen Europe's resilience. No European country can match China on its own. Unity is the strength also here. And then on Ukraine. Okay, before I go to Ukraine, also we discussed Congo and renewed fighting in eastern Congo. I spoke with ministers of Burundi, Congo and Rwanda in recent days, and it is clear that we will explore also the possible next steps for the next Foreign Affairs Council, because for us it is in our interest that we remain closely engaged to avoid further escalation, as the situation is extremely severe. Now on Ukraine. Talks will continue. Our priorities are twofold, putting more pressure on Moscow and generating more support for Kiev. Europe is providing Ukraine with a record 27 billion euros of military support this year. We have also met our pledge of providing 2 million rounds of artillery shells, but it is also clear that it's no time to slow down. We have to do more to strengthen Ukraine's defense and its hand in negotiations while Russia keep rejecting peace. Ministers were clear that any peace deal must include strong security guarantees, as Ukraine has been pressured into giving up NATO. These will be the only safeguard capable of stopping Russia from re-invading. The EU will do its part, including with training and defense industry support. Russia's shadow fleet remains its cash lifeline, and we are cutting it. So today, we sanctioned several individuals linked to Rosneft and Lukoil, as well as shipping companies. Also, additional 40 vessels to the sanctions list. To cut off Russia's cash flow faster, we will now also sanction shadow fleet vessels on a rolling basis with decisions every month. Ministers also imposed new sanctions on those involved in Russian hybrid actions against our countries. As hybrid attacks from Belarus grow, we also broadened our sanctions regime to target those responsible. The message is clear: those who threaten our security will face consequences. This is a decisive week for funding Ukraine. Member states have already agreed to immobilize Russian assets for the long term, and this was the right thing to do. On Thursday, the European Council is set to decide Ukraine's funding for 2026 to 2027. I want to make this very simple. Supporting Ukraine costs money, that is very clear, but letting Ukraine fall would cost us much more. Accountability for Russia's crimes is essential for a just and lasting peace. Tomorrow in The Hague, we will establish a commission to address claims for war damages caused by Russia. The Commission's register has already received 80,000 submissions. It will review, assess and determine the compensation owed to Ukraine. Russia will not escape the bill for the homes, schools and hospitals it has destroyed. And finally, on issue of territorial concessions, only Ukraine can decide the terms of any deal. But we all know that Donbas isn't Putin's endgame. If he gets it, he will want more. Concessions should be made by the aggressor, not victim. There is no moral equivalence between the two sides. I think I got all points now and ready to take your questions.
Thank you. We start with Stefan.
Yes, no, not working.